What is going on, y'all? This is Pay Me in Dividends, and today is January 15th, 2025. Now, as you can see, my portfolio is at $90,720. And if we scroll down here, we'll see that my positions have remained the same. I still have 1,000 shares of AIPI, 1,000 shares of MSTY, 200 shares of RDTE, and 200 shares of NVDY. Now, YieldMax and RoundHill have came out with distributions today. We're going to look at that in a moment, right? Because MSTY did pay. But the first thing I want to look at is the S&P. So we're going to use VOO as a metric because, as we know, VOO is one of the bigger ETFs that tracks the S&P 500. And as we can see, the market is green today, right? It's up about 1.75% as of today, January 15th. And so it is green. Also, Bitcoin is back up, right? Remember, guys, yesterday when I posted a video, Bitcoin was around 94,000, I believe, or 95,000. So today is actually up 3%. It is green. It looks like it's going to touch 100,000 again soon, but we know how Bitcoin fluctuates. We know how the market fluctuates in general, whether it's Bitcoin or the S&P or the NASDAQ. So, but it is a good feeling, right? When you see things going up, when you have a day that is green. And one of the big things here is MSTY, right? MSTY is back over $30 a share. Now, MSTY did announce distributions. So guys, keep in mind, tomorrow is the ex-dividend date for MSTY, which means that the dividend amount will be extracted from the share price. So you can expect a drop in price tomorrow based on how much they are paying out, right? So they did announce payouts, and as we can see, MSTY is paying out about $2.27. Now, here's the thing, right? MSTY, based on all of its distributions since inception, on average, they paid out about $3 a share, right? $3.05 more or less, but we'll split the difference. We'll say about $3 a share. So it is under the average. However, if you do the math, right, let's do the quick math real quick. It's still 100% yield. So although it was not $3 or even $4, like I believe November or October and November was over $4 a share, this is still a lot of money, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 27.92 and we're going to multiply it by 13 because there are 13 distributions for the year. We multiply that, and then we take the current price, which is at 30.63, right? So we're going to divide it by 30.63, and we get about 97%, right? 96.7. We'll call it 97. So that's almost 100% annualized dividend yield. Now, again, this number is always going to fluctuate based off of the distribution amount and the share price at the time. But as we see, it's still paying a super high dividend yield. And so I think that's pretty crazy. I'm very pleased with that. As you guys know, I have 1,000 shares of MSTY. So I am expecting about a $2,200 payout just in MSTY for the month of January, which is amazing. I'm happy. I'm pleased. The fund is doing well. The share price is doing well. So it'll be interesting to see how it performs moving forward. But as of now, I'm very, very pleased with MSTY. And I think anybody who's invested into MSTY is pleased with this ETF. Now, it does matter where you entered, right? Because some people might have bought at the high, some people might have bought at the low, but regardless, you are getting a huge dividend. But again, like I mentioned earlier, just keep in mind that tomorrow on the 16th is the ex-dividend date, right? January 16th. So this dividend here naturally is going to be extracted from this share price. But you know, the funny thing about MSTY or MSTY is although the dividend is extracted from the share price, a lot of times we see it recover very, very quickly. I mean, there's even been times where it's recovered immediately after the ex-dividend date, just because Bitcoin is so volatile. And so if Bitcoin is going up on any particular day, MSTY by proxy is going up as well. So, you know, Bitcoin, if we keep seeing, Bitcoin go up little by little over the next few weeks, you know, MSTY is going to recover in no time. Probably by the weekend or early next week, this share price is going to recover and we're going to be back over $30. But again, we can't predict the future. This is assuming that Bitcoin will continue to trend up over the next week or so. But regardless, they're paying huge dividends. It's really crazy. We've never seen anything like this in the stock market ever before, where you're able to buy these ETFs that track an underlying asset that is so volatile that they're able to extract all of this premium out of the options and pay it to you in a dividend. You no longer even need to acquire the skill of options. All you have to do is put your money into these ETFs. The ETF managers perform options on your behalf and pay you out the premium as a dividend. So that is super cool. Again, I'm super pleased, right? Now, the next thing I want to look at from YieldMax is NVDY. Now, they're not paying dividends this week, but what I do want to look at is the fact that I dollar cost averaged into NVDY, right? Yesterday's video, I mentioned that I added an additional 100 shares to my position, which now gives me 200 shares, and I averaged down to 22.98. My average price prior to adding these 100 shares to make it 200 was 24 and some change, and then I bought in around $21 yesterday or Monday when the price had dipped down, right, when there was a small pullback in the market. Now we can see that NVDY is right back over $22, right? So these ETFs move very quickly. They move with speed. And so again, this is why yesterday I spoke about taking opportunities in the market. When there are pullbacks in the market, that is when you have to be ready to add more shares to your position or even start new positions so that you can be able to take advantage of these ETFs at a discounted price, right? So as we can see, NVDY is back over $22. And why are they up today? Well, they're up today because the underlying asset, NVIDIA, is up, right? So naturally, NVDY is up, right? So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, that like I mentioned yesterday, when the market is red, when the market is down, it's not the end of the world. The market has been around longer than me, longer than anybody watching this video. The market has existed longer than you, right? So there's been investors in this market for years and years and years. And the reality is you have to take advantage of the days that the market is red, because you never know what's going to happen the following day, the following week, the following month. There can be a prolonged bear market, or it can be a slight pullback and then the market recovers quickly. So just keep that in mind, right, guys? You got to keep that positive mindset and just always be ready to put money into the market when the time is right. So the next thing I want to look at is RoundHill, right? Again, another ETF that was down. It was around $39 yesterday, 39 and some change. And today it is up over $41 a share. So as you can see, the 52-week low is at $39.44. And yesterday it was trending close to this number. It's around $39.80, right? So now it's at $41.40. So again, it just shows you how quickly these funds can move, right? Now RDTE is another ETF that is paying a dividend. Also, QDTE and XDTE from RoundHill has paid dividends as well. But we're going to take a look at RDTE first because this is an ETF that I'm invested in, right? So we can see that they are paying 37 cents this Friday on the 17th. Now, if you look at all of their payments since inception, on average, they've been paying out about 33 cents a share from when they began paying weekly, right? Initially, they were paying monthly, and then they switched over to weekly payments. And so if you take the average of payments from when they switched over to weekly, it's around 33 cents a share. So as we can see this week, it is above its average, and it's around 48% dividend, annual dividend yield as of this week, right? So I think this is a pretty good payment. Again, it's higher than its average, and the share price is up. But this is another example of, the dividend will be extracted tomorrow on the ex-dividend date, which is today's the ex-dividend date. The pay date is, or tomorrow's the ex-dividend date. Tomorrow's the ex-dividend date. And so tomorrow this dividend will be extracted from the ETF, but it's only 37 cents. And if the market continues to trend up throughout the end of this week, it probably won't take much of a hit, and it'll probably recover pretty quickly, and you probably won't even notice it, and you'll still get paid a dividend, right? So that's RDTE. Again, I wanted to look at that one first because I am invested into it. But QDTE paid as well, right? QDTE paid as well, and they paid 33 cents. Well, they haven't paid yet. They're going to pay on the 17th, but they've announced their payment, and it will be 33 cents this Friday on January 17th, right? So QDTE is on par with their average. They're averaging around 33, 34 cents a share since switching over to weekly payments. And so here we go, right? They're right on par with their average. So I think that's pretty good. And you guys let me know in the comments too, what's your favorite RoundHill ETF? Do you kind of like all three of them equally? Are you, kind of spreading, diversifying between all three? Is there one particular that you like more than the other? You guys let me know in the comments. What do you think? So let's take a look at XDTE, right? So XDTE on January 17th will pay 36 cents a share, right? Which is above their average. So since they started paying weekly dividends, on average, XDTE has paid about 28 cents a share. So as we can see, XDTE and RDTE is actually above their average for this week, right? It's around a 38% dividend yield. And so that's really good, and they pay weekly. Now, one more I want to look at, which is YBTC. I just thought about that one, actually, because I spoke about it in another video, and they do pay weekly as well. I'm not invested into this one, but I do think it's a pretty good ETF, and they do pay weekly, right? So we see on Friday, the 17th, they will pay out 34 cents a share. So I think RoundHill is pretty cool, right? They have an entire suite of ETFs based off of the Russell 2000, the NASDAQ, the S&P, and Bitcoin, and all of these ETFs pay weekly, which is, again, it's crazy when you think about the traditional stock market and how dividends, traditionally would pay quarterly or biannually, or even sometimes just once a year. And then, a lot of these stocks or ETFs, a lot of REITs kind of changed the game a bit with monthly paying dividends. But now, over the past couple years, we've gotten so many ETFs that are paying monthly, and they're paying these huge dividends, right? They're extracting all this premium from options, and then they're paying us out these huge dividends, and now we get weekly paying ETFs. I mean, if you get your portfolio to an amount and position yourself in a certain way, you can literally set up an entire second salary for yourself, right? Of weekly checks, monthly checks. If you diversify between different ETF managers and different assets, you can have staggered payments. You can have 2 or 3 checks hitting your brokerage account every single week. I mean, it's really crazy to think about, right? It's really motivating, and it just shows you that there is a path to financial freedom, retiring early. If you have a mortgage, paying off your mortgage quicker. If you have debt, paying off your debt quicker. And even if you enjoy what you do for work, even if you enjoy your career, this can even just be supplemental income, and it will allow you to have peace of mind. It will allow you to increase your quality of life, and it's completely passive. The hardest part is being disciplined enough to contribute money to your brokerage account, right, on a consistent basis. Buy these shares, don't touch the dividends, just reinvest the dividends as much as you can, especially in the beginning. And then you get to a point where your portfolio is just cash flowing. And again, this isn't accounting for taxes. This isn't accounting for any NAV erosion. This isn't accounting, for fluctuation in payments because of the nature of the market. But just hypothetically, in a general sense, you can really build another source of income, a real source of income, right? Just from your portfolio, straight off of your phone. I mean, it's just crazy when you think about it. So I think it's pretty motivating. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. So again, just to wrap this up, the market is green today, right? The S&P is green. Bitcoin is up. It is green. MSTY is over 30 cents a share. NVDY is over $22 a share. RDTE is back in the $40 range, right? Yesterday it was at $39. Now it's back over $40. And YieldMax and RoundHill have paid out dividends. We'll even take a quick look at YieldMax and YMAG, which are 2 ETFs that I do not own, but I do know they are very, very popular in the high yield dividend space, so they are worth taking a look at. So as we can see, YieldMax is paying 11 cents this week. YMAG is paying 5 cents this week, right? And then we have this short option income strategy ETF. I'm not too familiar with this one, but if any of you guys are invested into this, let me know in the comments, how has it been working for you, right? It looks like they're going to pay 38 cents, and this is a monthly payer, right, as opposed to YieldMax and YMAG, which is weekly. And of course, we have this newer ETF up here, LFGY, which is a crypto ETF, and it doesn't look like they've announced any distributions yet. Maybe sometime next month it'll come out, but this is brand new. I noticed it just came up on brokerages as of yesterday, I believe, January 14th. And so I'll be curious to see how much these payments are, especially being that it is a weekly payer, right? So it may be competing with YBTC. I want to see how this one performs. It may compete with YBTC. It may compete with CEPI from Rex shares. So we'll see how it performs moving forward after we get those first few payments, right? And then we have AMZY, the Amazon Option Income ETF. They're paying about 40 cents a share. We have APLY, the Apple Option Income ETF, at 28 cents a share. And then we have a few more other ones down here as well. And you guys can find this information on YieldMax's Twitter. They always post updates to their Twitter. That's where I get the news for YieldMax, for most of YieldMax information, either Twitter or Reddit. I find that people on Reddit are very quick at posting these numbers. So, shout out to everybody on Reddit who's on there all day just posting stuff. But these dudes just, I don't know if they just sit on Reddit all day, but they post this stuff immediately, and I love it, right? Because I don't really have to do much work. I just type it in Google and it pops up. So that's pretty cool. So I got this from Reddit via YieldMax's Twitter. So yeah, these are the numbers for the week. I think it's pretty cool. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you think? And you know, as always, guys, I'm grateful for you guys tuning in. We are now over 800 subscribers. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel, and I will check y'all out in the next video.